Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is March the 1st, 2026. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Sunday. Hopefully it's been a fun day for you. I know it's also the first of the month, so we'll get to the roll call in a second. But yeah, let's go ahead and do a weekend recap. I know I missed today. That's kind of become the classic, the norm. We've become a bit of a 6-day, sometimes even a 5-day podcast, but so it goes. But yes, starting off a Friday night, went out to Skyline Chili, and it was yummy. It was nice. I got to have a Skyway, a 5-way, essentially a 5-way. We got the chili, we got the noodles, we got the cheese, as well as some beans, some onions, all that. But the Skyway is essentially just extra cheese. And they do it for free, so that's nice. You just have to say, hey, I want the Skyway. And then I got 2 cheese coneys with everything on them, which was really yummy. I for some reason, I've been missing a good cheese coney. It's been a while since I've had a glizzy, so, getting my fix in there. Post that, went, reconnoitered and watched some RuPaul's Drag Race for the first time. That was interesting. That was enlightening. Very fun show. Also nice to sit down and watch some reality TV. I feel like I haven't really done that in a while, so it scratched a certain kind of itch. That was really cool. It was fun. But yeah, from there, that Friday goes into Saturday. Slept in for most of the afternoon, or all of the morning, pretty much, and then into the afternoon. So I wind up getting into my Saturday usual stuff a bit later, but that's okay. We did about 30 minutes of gym on Saturday, really light, just given the schedule. Also the fact that, I'm still, dealing with the lat injury situation. Didn't really hit it too hard, but overall, good workout for what it was. Then I come home, get myself together pretty quickly, and head out to Northside, see the homies. So get to Northside. This is actually key because there's a bit of and I'm skipping a moment too, where I also got to eat a homemade Philly cheesesteak, which was very yummy, very good. But back to Saturday, get to the homie's house. And there were some Japanese pastries that, actually, shout out to Kira, she had acquired. And she let me sample some, so that was really cool. It was really yummy. I got to eat a ube, filled croissant of sorts. And it was so good. I've never tried ube before. It's like this purple, I don't really know exactly what it is. I'm going to be honest with you, but it's delicious. You should try it for sure. It had a nice sweet flavor to it. Almost like a cream cheese situation, but I'm definitely rocking with that. And then there was another one. I don't know if I'm getting this correctly. I'm just doing this off the top of the dome. I believe it was called taro. Maybe I'm wrong there. Mea culpa is so. But it was like this Japanese cornbread with cheese on top. And boy, howdy, it was yummy. It was delicious. It was scrumptious. So that's how we're starting off the night. The food, exquisite for the weekend. I have no complaints. We then actually start the night backwards. The night was kind of a bit ass backwards for the crew. We wind up starting off at Junkers because a regular, friend, had actually brought their Google Drive so that the whole bar could watch wrestling that night. So that was clutch. That's a hell yeah. We're having a pay-per-view night at Junkers. That was epic. That was cool as hell. So it was an elimination chamber night. Not gonna go through the whole yada of that, but it was fun to sit down and watch that. Instead of Chameleon, we had NYPD pizza. A homie got a hoagie. He had rave reviews for that. I didn't try it, but it looked good. And then I got a personal pan, or not, I guess not pan, I'm on my Pizza Hut shit, but it was a personal pizza, and, had a pepperoni and sausage on it. Very good. Yummy. Would eat again. Now, if I'm stacking it up against Chameleon, I'd rather eat Chameleon. But if you just want a traditional, no frills, just your good old, classic pizza, NYPD is not going to do you wrong, especially for the price. So, started off night there. Let's see. Towards the end of wrestling, we actually wind up doing a bit of a side quest. Another friend and I, actually to Chameleon, because sometimes we just got to do that. I mentioned that in a previous episode. Sometimes we just got to do a little side quest with the homie. Make sure we all eat. We all got to eat good. So yeah, we actually do wind up going to Chameleon, the two of us, and I get an order of Cajun fries. They get an order of wings, not like the super hot, loud wings. We just got like the dab or something like that, something lighter. So they were yummy. That was nice. We're talking shop, we're talking life, all this kind of stuff. Then we get back, finish out wrestling. We then, this is where I hope my memory is not going to fail me. We then go to homie's place. They're having a bit of like a house hang situation, doing some gaming, a little bit of snackage, so we hang out there for a little bit, and then we wind up going back to Junkers, essentially for Metal Night, to kind of close the night out. And it was a vibe. It was a good time, a couple more homies and stuff come through. We're chilling, we're kicking it, ha ha ha, having a good guffaw. And then we wind up heading back to homie's crib, reconnoiter. We're back at HQ. We're chilling. So this is another fun food corner moment. So we're chilling in the kitchen, as we want to do, and the homie, he busts out the 10 fish, and he busts out the fucking, I believe it was mackerel in mustard. I ain't never seen some shit like that before. Okay, and I don't know what it was. I'm not gonna say it threw me off. It just was a reality check, because I was talking some big shit throughout this weekend. I've been polling everyone, talking to people, saying, hey, I'm thinking of making a diet change for the week. Something extreme, something to lean me out a little bit. And I was wanting to say, eat canned fish with rice cakes. I don't know. I saw Sam Sulik on that shit for his bodybuilding shit, and I'm like, I feel like I could do that. I feel like that might be good for me. That might actually help me, get better, caloric deficits and all that. Gotta. So I'm running that in my head up until this point where I see this 10 fish situation, and it really sobered me up in all the ways. Now, don't get me wrong, I did partake in some. I had some on a pretzel, and it hit. It was good, but something about that visual, it let me know that I'm not ready for that. I'm not at that point in my fitness food journey, whatever you want to call it. I'm good. I'm okay. So we just gonna stick to the usual chicken and rice situation. I don't need to cut any harder. All right, I'm good. So that was a sobering moment. And sometimes you need a friend to not just say that shit to you, but show that shit to you. So amen to that. Amen for that. So yeah, we close out the night though. Fast forward a little bit. We wake up. It's Sunday, and I got a good amount of sleep. In total, and I'm ready to slowly but surely get up. A little like, worse for wear. We partied. I drank a few beers. Had a shot of tequila with the bartender. You know how it goes. Anyway, we get up. We get ourselves ready. We go to the grocery store. Grocery store is pretty good. It's simple. It's easy. No problems. No frills. We then come back home. Drop off the groceries. Hang out for a little bit longer. Then we go to the gym. Gym was nice. It felt like a we're back moment. I mean, not exactly we're back, but we're back in a way. I'm still, a little, in my lat area. We're still not feeling 100%. So I hit what I would feel is like my medium lifts, hitting around like 225. They all move pretty well. I'm not too sore. I'm not too beat up from that. I will say, like, mid-workout, it was kind of like I was having pain moments where I was like, okay, don't feel the greatest, but we got through it all. Got through my Smith machine, got through my free weights, did the core work, got through all my filler. I will say, like I said, I went lighter on all of them, but overall good. And then we went to cardio. Cardio, went down smooth, so no complaints there. I'm hoping by maybe next weekend we're doing heavy lists again. Knock on the wood. But if not, that's okay. This has been a nice reminder, too, that it's like, hey, it's not all about making these big PRs, these big goals. It's about showing up. It's about being consistent. I know I say that all the time, but it's a reminder to me. It's a reminder to y'all. Like, you just got to get after it. You just got to keep after it, and you will see results. You will see change that is positive and good. Post the gym. We come home. We have our stretch. We have our snack. And then, I have my research piled up. There's a lot to talk about. We're going to be getting into some world-changing things have been taking place for sure this weekend. But I get it all set up, and I'm like, I'm getting a case of the sleepies. I might take a little nappy poo. So that's what I do. And I hit the hay. And, wake up and it was light out when I took my nap, or I started my nap, and then it's like, oh, it's dark. Okay. All right. That's how it goes. But, all good. We're hitting it a little bit later on the Sunday, but overall this should, get to your ears before the day's over, the day's end. But yes, that has been my weekend. It's been a really great, awesome weekend. Sans, like I said, the news is crazy, and that's on my mind a little bit. But that being said, that's neither here nor there. For me, myself, and for my friends and whatnot, W weekend. We love to see it. We love to yap about it. But yeah, let's go ahead and do our roll call, and then we'll go ahead and do our startup, and then we'll get into that news. So yeah, for the roll call, shout out to Stephanie Renee. Shout out to Mama Bear. Shout out to Aaron Walden. Shout out to Kira Finsky. Also plugging Nail Alchemist. And then also from my boy Ryan Carney, shouting out Sculptor. Ever looking for some fucking doom sledge metal. Hopefully, they'll be back to performing. I know they've got some stuff going on, house stuff, whatever. You'll be seeing them. I know that much. And then, go get your nails done, Kira, she do some nice ass nails. So get on that. Anyway. Let's go ahead and do the startup, and let's get into some news. Refreshing. All right. Let's start off at the top. Let's start off with the bang. From NBC News. Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei is dead. Supreme Leader dead. President Donald Trump announced on Truth Social that Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed Saturday after the U.S. and Israel launched a pre-dawn assault on the country. Iranian state media later confirmed his death. The U.S. launched a major combat operations in Iran, joined by Israel, Trump announced earlier in a video message. So yeah, when I woke up Saturday morning, in between my long, rest throughout that morning and afternoon, I saw, oh shit, we struck Iran, which, this technically follows, more or less the playbook from the Trump administration, especially Trump, Israel, Bibi Netanyahu's, shit, that it's like, hey, we're saying we're working with you guys, we're trying to get to a deal, but we're also being very two-faced about this. And yeah, we said 10 days, and then after that, we'll figure it out. And it's like, oops, pal, surprise, we're actually coming for you right now. We've actually been coming for you. We've actually been waiting and setting up for this shit. So I found out about that, but then I woke up Sunday morning to see that Khamenei had been killed. And I was like, whoa, that's big news. That's major fucking news. It's something that Trump has talked about and floated, bragged about, that he had the ability, capacity to do so. And not just him. Benjamin Netanyahu has also done the same fucking thing. But for me, looking at it, thinking on it, I really thought, to a certain extent, that's a bit of bluster. That's like a bit of, bravado, whatever. You're being sensational. Because if you were going to do it, you would have been done it. You know what I mean? You could have cut off the head of the snake. Yada. Why not do it? It just seemed like, what's stopping you? I mean, obviously for me, Benjamin Netanyahu, I was thinking like the Trump administration is stopping him. But needless to say, them actually going through with this and going all the way up and saying, yeah, we're going to hit him. And they literally hit him when he was, I believe, in his office. And, he thought that shit was safe enough, and it wasn't. Kaboom. Kablow. Sorry. All right, but let's continue on with this, bullet point, whatever. Israel targeted Iranian political and military leaders. 2 U.S. officials told NBC, while the U.S. aimed to take out Iran's ballistic missile and nuclear programs, which is one of the things that both of those things were on the table. Essentially, this is supposed to be just about nuclear armament and saying, hey, you guys have to de-escalate your program pretty much down to nothing, which I think is crazy to put a nation state in that position. We've talked about that. But then you go even further and say, hey, we want your ballistic missiles to also be zeroed out and taken away from you. It's like these are pretty much non-negotiable things for any nation state, especially Iran in the Middle East. Like, there's no way. Like, defang yourself, and then you're going to be cool with us. We won't bomb you. But if you don't, then we're going to blow you to smithereens. So essentially, they're saying, okay, well, we're just going to hit you up. We're just going to do that. And let's just keep on reading. Trump urged Iranians to take over your government when the strikes are over. The hour of your freedom is at hand, which is crazy to say that when you literally about 3 weeks ago said something very similar to this and then just deserted them and then just said, okay, we made a deal. We're fine. Things are good. We're going to, wind things down. And then you're ratcheting it back up and saying, hey, it's time for freedom again. I mean it. Like, that's a very interesting tactic. Granted, not new. Trump's not busting out some new playbook here, American leaders have tried this shit before, all in the spirit of freedom and democracy and all that bullshit. It's like, okay, man. Yeah, sure. You just don't like these people and you're saying this is how we're going to move and eliminate them. And hey, why don't you guys get up and just take over for yourselves? Why don't you guys fight for your freedom? Shit like that, man. It's like, okay. The Iranian Red Crescent said more than 200 people have been killed and roughly 700 others have been injured. Iran retaliation. Iran responded by firing missiles at Israel, as well as at U.S. bases across the region in the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan, sending ripples across the Middle East. But also, in an exclusive interview with the NBC, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Iran was interested in de-escalation and willing to talk if the U.S. and Israel halted attacks. He told Trump that regime change was mission impossible. All right, so the next few stories are essentially just fallout things, like just aftermath, I guess you could say. And I'm not going to be able to cover all of it. I think it would take the whole breadth of this episode and then some, and even then I'd have to come back and talk more stuff. So really just going to try to hit the highlights that I've seen, and we'll kind of move on and circle back to this, I'm sure. But from Al Jazeera, at least 3 U.S. service members killed during Iran Operation CENTCOM. The United States military has announced that 3 service members have been killed in its operation against Iran, the first U.S. casualties in the continuing attacks on Iran. The announcement on Sunday comes on the second day of strikes by the U.S. and Israel that have killed the Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and drawn retaliatory fire from Iran towards targets across the Middle East. The U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, confirmed in a statement that 3 U.S. service members were killed and 5 others have been seriously wounded in the operation. Several others sustained minor shrapnel injuries and concussions and are in the process of being returned to duty. Major combat operations continue and our response effort is ongoing. I also believe, too, that I'm reading here, Israeli attack on Iran hits Tehran's, it was a hospital, sorry, it's a news ticker, it's kind of just going there. But, so there's definitely still a lot of back and forth, throughout the region from either Israel or the U.S. or, Iran. I think a tanker got hit on the Strait of Hormuz, if I'm not mistaken, an oil tanker. Which is another thing I was thinking about too, is like, well, what about the prices of gas? Isn't that going to be potentially affected by this? And maybe so, but at least, where I'm at, I think gas has pretty much stayed stable. So I found that to be a little bit interesting, side fact, thing. But yeah, it was Tehran's Gandhi Hospital. which caused widespread damage. Sorry, I was waiting for the ticker to come back around there. But let's see. There was another incident that took place, this in Pakistan, from the Associated Press. At least 22 people killed in Pakistan as protesters try to storm U.S. consulate. Violent clashes between protesters and security forces in Pakistan's southern port city of Karachi and in the country's north left at least 22 people dead and more than 120 injured as demonstrators supportive of the Iranian government attempted to storm a U.S. consulate on Sunday, authorities said. In the north of the country, demonstrators attacked UN and government offices. The violence came after, this is kind of yada yada, after the killing of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Police and officials at a hospital in Karachi said at least 50 people were also wounded in clashes, and some of them were in critical condition. So yeah, also another just, I guess, side note that I wanted to say as we kind of segue to the next thing. Trump has added that it's like, there's probably going to be more casualties in terms of just like, U.S. soldiers and things like that. Which brings up the idea, and this is something I was thinking about as like going through my groceries and shit. Is this the new forever war that we're doing where we're going to try to say, hey, no boots in the ground, but like, yeah, our bases are going to be kind of hot spots again, and we're just going to have to deal with that kind of, kinetic energy, and we're okay with that as Americans, that like, yeah, we're going to lose some of our boys out there, but it's going to be for an overall good cause because we're going to have this regime change, and also too, it's not like you're actually establishing peace here. Nothing about this seems that we're angling for that. If anything, it seems like we are angling for more chaos, to just ratchet up the chaos more, so that Israel maybe doesn't get hit as much in that said chaos. And then who is? It just seems like, well, then the U.S. is just tanking more of that. So I don't see in any way, shape, or form where we are truly benefiting from this. The American people, I don't see how, saying, hey, let's put our more money and, taxpayer money into this war effort. That's at this point not a war, but we're angling for it to be a war. I think some point this week, this is going in front of Congress in terms of like what exactly we're doing here in terms of like, what is our war footing or something, so to speak. I don't know how to word it, but, yeah, this just seems like a fucked up campaign that really, once again, Israel only stands to benefit, and only in a way that is saying, hey, we're going to spread more death and chaos across this fucking region, and you guys, at the end of it, won't be able to fuck with us as much. So that's all we care about at the end of the day. If we establish that, then we're good, and we're happy. We're solid. So it's weird. I'm very curious to see how people, the American people at least, are going to react to this. If they're going to be for it, not care, or against it. I don't know. And then also, I have no idea. I cannot speculate. This is above my pay grade. We're living in, I hate to say it, sounds so fucking corny every time I do, but like crazy dynamic times. I don't know. But wait, there's fucking more. Speaking on America, let's take it to Texas. From the Associated Press, suspect in Texas shooting wore property of Allah clothing and Iranian flag emblem. Associated Press source says. The gunman who killed 2 people at a bar in Texas early Sunday in a mass shooting is being investigated by the FBI as a potential act of terrorism. Was wearing a sweatshirt that said "Property of Allah" and another shirt with an Iranian flag design. A law enforcement official told the Associated Press. The shooting, which also left 14 wounded, erupted a day after the United States launched an attack with Israel that killed Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The gunman was identified as 53-year-old I'm fucking this name up already. Niaiga Diagni. The Department of Homeland Security said in a statement. Excuse me. He first entered the U.S. in 2000 on a B-2 tourist visa and became a lawful permanent resident 6 years after marrying a U.S. citizen. According to DHS, he became a naturalized U.S. citizen in 2013. The department said Diagni was originally from Senegal, according to multiple people briefed on the investigation who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to publicly discuss the investigation. Officers in Austin shot and killed the gunman, who used both a pistol and a rifle to carry out the attack. The suspect drove past the bar several times before stopping and shooting a pistol out of the window of his SUV at people on the patio in front of the bar, according to Austin Police Chief Lisa Davis. The gunman then parked the vehicle, got out with a rifle, and began shooting at people walking in the area before officers who rushed to the intersection shot him, Davis said. 3 of those injured were in critical condition Sunday morning, police said. Authorities found indicators on the gunman in his vehicle, leading the FBI to look into the possibility of terrorism, said Alex Duran, the acting agent in charge of the FBI's FBI San Antonio office. It's still too early to make a determination on that, Doran said on Sunday morning. The White House said President Donald Trump had been briefed on the shooting. Now, there's more details. Old wheels, Greg Abbott, he comes out and, has some words, whatever. This is a story that I'll definitely try to come back on if I get any updates. Obviously, it's very sad, very tragic that potentially something like, that happened in the Middle East and Iran. Leads to the death of 2 people. You could say on his face, okay, yeah, maybe this is like specifically a terrorist thing, and I'm fine with it being labeled, and conducted as such. But also, this could just be a moment too of a person saying, hey, I see this thing on the news, I feel a way about it, and I'm going to use it as my reason to go out and shoot people today. But that being said, I'll wait till more details come out. We can come back to the story and get an update, a solid one. But yeah, let's move on. One more story. This feels like a thing I usually don't cover, but I feel like every so often I'm compelled to talk about the pop gossip or a celebrity person who's really driving me to say, okay, I want to talk about the specific incident because it's making the rounds online or whatever. So this is an incident I believe took place last week. But a bit of the fallout's kind of been coming back around, and I'm like, all right, I feel a little bit more compelled now that, a little bit more stories, a little bit more background things are coming out. I don't know. So yeah, we are going to talk about an Eve and Steven gone wrong. But yeah, let's go ahead and take our last break, and we will close it out. Whew. Ooh-wee. Okay. This is from 4WWL. Oh, this is a CBS subsidiary. I also want to add, too, you could definitely look this story up and find it on a more national headline, get more details. We're kind of jumping into the middle of it, so I wanted to get an article that kind of confirmed he's currently not in jail right now because he just got rearrested. So that's why we're jumping into the middle. I'll try to get us all caught up as best I can. All right. Actor Shia LaBeouf no longer in custody after Saturday battery arrest. LaBeouf appeared in court on Saturday, and the judge set his bond at $5,000. Shia LaBeouf was previously arrested and charged with battery in connection with an early month New Orleans bar fight. He is no longer in custody after bonding out following his Saturday arrest on an additional simple battery charge, according to court records. LaBeouf appeared in court Saturday, and the judge set his bond at $5,000. Let's see here. I'm going to skip the lawyer's statement here. It wasn't immediately clear if the new charge is connected to the February 17th brawl outside the Royal Street Inn and in an R bar, where LaBeouf is accused of repeatedly using homophobic slurs while hitting multiple people during Mardi Gras celebrations. Telephone and email messages left Saturday with LaBeouf's attorney and New Orleans police weren't immediately returned. In the February 17th incident, a video shows a shirtless LaBeouf shoving one person to the ground and hitting another person in the face, causing his nose to possibly dislocate. according to a New Orleans police report. Jeffrey Dammit, a well-known local entertainer who police identified as Jeffrey Klein in the incident report, said he was one of the people attacked by LaBeouf. He hit me. He connected a few times with punches. He pushed me a few times, Dammit told the Associated Press. LaBeouf just got nuts, trying to start fights and telling the entertainer and others that he would beat them up, Dammit said. He added that LaBeouf had pushed him from behind at the bar earlier in the night, shouting homophobic slurs and threatening his life. Dammit and others subdued LaBeouf and tried to get him to leave the area, but he would not leave and became more aggressive, according to Dammit and the police report. Police arrived at the bar around 12:45 a.m. on the morning of the city's famous Fat Tuesday revelry and arrested LaBeouf. LaBeouf has not entered a plea and declined to talk to reporters on Thursday after a New Orleans judge ordered him to return to drug and alcohol rehabilitation. During that hearing, LaBeouf's attorney, Sarah Stravinsky, told the judge, frankly, being drunk on Mardi Gras is not a crime. Shut the fuck up. It is not just being drunk. This is being drunk and belligerent. Being belligerent and physically violent to people is a fucking crime. I'm really not, like, when I'm actually, like, reading out some of these lawyers' statements and shit online, it's just, these fuckers can be so goddamn greasy. And I get it. You're defending your client to the best of your goddamn ability. But, like, to a certain point, you go, boo, shut the fuck up, bro. Like, I don't know. But I wanted to highlight this Complex article. It references the interview with Andrew Callahan from Channel 5 News and Shia LaBeouf. But, essentially they, are talking. It's a really, really interesting chat. You find, I've not watched the whole thing in entirety. I've watched some clips where he talks about his huge fucking beef with Mike Piazza because he would come out as a kid to get, like, things signed, get a Mike Piazza autograph. That was, like, the one he really wanted. All these other players would, like, come out and sign and, like, be around people and be cool. And, like, dude would just completely, like, Hollywood him, completely big time him. And that really stuck with Shia LaBeouf. That really changed that man. And he's like, yeah, I sign shit all the time. Unless I'm, like, with my kid or, I'm trying to eat food or whatever, like, I'm going to sign that shit. I'm going to make the time because I don't ever want to be like that. He was really adamant about that. We also find out he's very, very religious man. I guess I should read the title here from Complex. Shia LaBeouf cries while imagining meeting Jesus. I'd kiss his feet. I wouldn't say nothing. Like, okay, dude. And it's like, I guess at this point, I mean, I've seen Shia LaBeouf throughout the ages. Even Steven was my jam. I fuck with Holes. I mean, hell, I even watched the Indiana Jones he was in. That shit flopped. That shit was so bad. He did not help. He's known for Transformers. That was a good run, solid run, till they swapped him out. But I've seen that he's, there's a boy interrupted situation here. I don't know what the fuck is up, but clearly the incident in New Orleans was a big sign. I don't want to do the whole it was a cry for help like that, because his cry for help should not be beating up people and saying and doing the shit he's been doing. And I know that we could go back in time and I could have talked about the FKA Twigs shit because there's some legal shit there that we could have got into. I really didn't want to touch that, if I'm being honest. But there was something about this incident that really had me like, okay, what the fuck is up? What's eating Gilbert Grape right now? What's going on? And then hearing his response from this interview is what made me say, okay, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to actually yap about it on the pod because there's just something's not right here. And it's not oh fucking K. But anyway, let me just kind of read through, a couple parts of this. What did I really want to get to? We can just really skim through it. He does talk about a moment of saying, like, actually I'll just read his quote. You got to hit your head into the wall hard enough where you just go, fuck it. I put a gun in my mouth. I was ready to kill myself, blow my brains out, LaBeouf recalled. Writing letters, dark days, for real gone, ready to go. Why didn't I do it? Because I'm a pussy. And then he also added too, and also because of my mom. And so it's like, okay, clearly, once again, dude is in a bad place. He's in a bad way. Also, if I'm not mistaken, I'm just kind of pulling this off from like headlines I've read. I believe him and his ex-wife, they were dating, whatever. I don't know. Mia Goth, they had a split. I don't know if it was marriage or they were just dating, whatever. But next thing you know, he's on the scene. He's looking crazy. He's looking, wild and whatever in New Orleans. He's trying to do it up for Mardi Gras. But it's like, dude, you're also beating people fucking up, man. So it's like, that's not cool. I do feel like generally people who see, Shia LaBeouf, it's a cool vibe whenever you were seeing him. It was like a Justin Bieber moment or something, But that being said, this seemed to get really dark, in my mind, kind of out of nowhere. But let's see, where did I want to go? He kind of sums up this experience this way. That's 3 people. The amount of interactions I've had at Mardi Gras, I must have met 20,000 people, he said. 20,000 good interactions and 3 bad interactions. I'm going to sign up for it. Still, it's like playing blackjack at the casino. And it's like, brother, these bad interactions though, because like I like that summation of it, because you can have bad interactions. I know I have, where it's like, yeah, I got to meet and talk with a bunch of people on this day. We were on a really fun bender. It was really fucking cool. Things got a little heated, but it was a good time. Nice seeing you, whatever. It's a whole other fucking thing when you are taking it to a physical, violent level. And, from what I'm gathering, he wasn't doing this at just one bar. He was just on this mode everywhere he was going. And it's like, dude, he's just trying people. He's just like, making these kind of confrontations. So it wasn't just these 3 bad ones. These are 3 bad ones that were bad enough for you were getting legal charges. But like, clearly you were a massive disruption to a lot of these people's, evenings or days, whatever, man. It's like, no, you're being a terror. That's not okay. And this quote right here, I think this is something that might be legally a bit damning for him because of the fact that there were hate charges put on it. I'm like, okay, people are saying they're hate charges. I was really curious because I'm like, maybe this is just him being a drunken, belligerent person. Not that okays any of this shit, but saying, hey, I'm just lashing out because I'm being drunk is one thing. But then saying, oh, I'm doing this because of your orientation, who you are, how you look, whatever, that's a whole other thing, right? So him saying this was very like, whoa, kind of revealing to me. I'll be honest. Actually, I'll read from the top here. LaBeouf told Callahan that the fight took place after gay men touched him. I'll be honest with you, he said. Big gay people are scary to me. When I'm like by myself and 3 big gay dudes are touching my leg, I'll be honest, I get scared. I'm sorry if that's homophobic, then I'm that. And he just blurts that out. And you kind of see like Callahan kind of wants to save him a bit, or at least allow him to like explain himself a bit. And, essentially he was like saying, yeah, they were touching on me and I didn't like that. I didn't feel okay with that. So I lashed out. And it's like, okay, I understand not being comfortable with that, wanting that stop. Then you get out of that situation, you get out of the altercation, you can actually go file a complaint, and then you can go about it that way. If it was that intense, that extreme, and that made you that uncomfortable, that's fine. That's fucking valid. But to say, no, don't fucking do that, and then immediately try to like hit them, and also that just doesn't line up with how he was carrying on, once again, throughout a whole fucking day, throughout this whole fucking, Mardi Gras experience. So it's like, I don't know, man. It seemed like you were combative the entire time, the entire way. It's hard. But once again, this is just me kind of seeing bits and pieces of this as, the story is being told, coming out. But let me read a little bit further. Police say LaBeouf became increasingly aggressive at the spot on Royal Street, where staff tried to kick out the actor before he punched at least 2 people. An incident report said LaBeouf allegedly used the F word, multiple times during the altercation. So there you go. That's something where it's like, these are not things of a person who's like, okay, I'm wronged, I've been victimized. You do not carry yourself out like this or carry yourself on like this. So maybe a bit uneasy. And like, once again, this seems potentially something that could be used against him in court, where it's like, clearly you did say that these gay people made you uncomfortable. They scared you. And then you reacted in a way and you said the things that you say. So hearing that he even said those things too, also it's hard for me to say after hearing that this isn't a hate crime. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Something's going on with Shia. Something's been going on with Shia, I'm sure. But yeah, this blew up enough on my radar where I was like, all right, I want to close out the weekend talking about that. But yeah, that's it. That's all I really have for today. Is it's always good to be back after a day off or so. I always miss my dear listeners. I miss yapping to y'all. But yeah, no shilling. It's Sunday, so thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye bye. Mwah.